Boker Tov, Kal Kadosh, Masechet Bava Kamma Daf Vav Amud Aleph, 86a1. We were just bringing Braita as a proof on the bottom of Pehei Amud Bet, 85b, where it says Tashema. We're going to try to bring a proof. Imagine a person comes and he hits his father or his mother, but he doesn't make a chabura in them. Okay? Or he hits his friend on Kippur. Yeah. Now he says over here, chayav bekulan, he's obligated in both of the cases in the 5 damages. Okay. Now, obviously, if he was going to be chayav mita, so then you have the concept of kimine b'derabba mine. Remember that on Kippur, there's no mita, it's only karet. Okay, so that means there's no mita of a beddin. And also, his parents, it's only when he actually makes a chabura. But here, he didn't make them a chabura. He hit them, but he didn't make a chabura. So says the Gemara, what was the case where he hit them and he didn't make a chabura? Heichidami, lav kegon is enough, for example, that he hit him al yado on his hand, and it's going to become better again. V'ktani, we still learn chayav bekulan. So this is a proof that if you hit someone, even though it's going to become better again, you're still chayav in the 5 different damages. So answers the Gemara, we're going to push this away, and we're going to say, no. He made him deaf. He made the father deaf. But he didn't make a chabura. And therefore, this is not considered a damage, which is for like a certain amount of time that it's going down in value and then going back up again. This is something like a permanent damage. So ask the Gemara, what are you talking about? Rabbi says, if somebody makes his father deaf, even without a chabura, meaning he didn't make a blemish or a wound, but if he comes and he makes his father deaf, he's going to be killed. Because it doesn't exist to make someone deaf and he's not going to make a chabura. It could be maybe you can't see it, maybe it's in the eardrum, but he's made him deaf. Tipta de dam nafla lebone, because there had to be a tipa of dam that went into his ear. So says the Gemara, what are we dealing with? What does that mean? The father was coming and he was megaleach l'rosh. He was, shaving the head of the father. So in such a case, he's going to be chayav the chamisha dvarim and even nezek, even though he did not make, right, a chabura. So he says, even though usually he doesn't, you're not making anything of a hefsed kaspi, he says the fact that he doesn't have any type of hair on his head is still considered a mum, that is going down in value. And therefore, since it's going down in value, so he has to pay for the 5 things. So says the Gemara, Gilcho, Mada Hadar. He says, V'hainu bayan. He says, if you come and shave a person's hair off, it's going to grow back. And that's the question that we spoke about. That right now, it's going to grow back afterwards. So Amri, so they said, Achamaskin, what are we dealing with? Kigon shesacho nasha de lo hadar. He says, what happened is that he anointed. Yeah, he put ointment right on the head of his father. And what happened is that this ointment was something which is like to shave the hair of the father, that the hair on the head would never grow back. So therefore, that's why it's something which is not going to be considered, right, for a short period of time, because the hair will never grow back on the father's head. So says the Gemara, 1 second, if this is what happened, he says, when a person does this, if he has any types of like pimples or open holes or anything in the head, he's going to start screaming because of this. So ripui de baya asuye, because he has to actually lirapot it, he has to cure, right, of this tsar, the shevet, and also that he has to, the shevet, because he's like, dancing between the different stores. Yeah. He comes and he says, the baya machve gavne areisha, that he has to show all these different things in the, in his head. And now he can't do that. Bullshit, and there's no bigger embarrassment than being bald here. So what's going on over here? So minta de baile le Rabba, but this was the question to Rabba. Pshita le Abaye lachisa was pashuta Abaye on the other side around. Rava lachisa and Rabba to the other way around. Right. So again, you had Rabba that had the question, Abaye that he went to one side of the safek, and Rava with an aleph that went to the other side of the safek. Now let's see, what does that mean? The Itmar was stated, Hikaw al yado. Imagine he comes and he hits him on the hand. V'tzamta, and it became swollen. Now we know that it's going to come back to normal. So Abaye says, Noten lo shevet gdola. You have to give him shevet gdola, which means the fact that you cannot work until the hand goes back to the normal size. His hand's swollen, you can't work. The shevet ktana, but you also have to give him also, right, until the time that basically you have the shevet gdola and the shevet ktana, that he cannot do any type of melacha. So here it says, right, so shevet gdola is the meyado, the amount of the hand, according to what it went down in value during that time, and then shevet ktana is the actual work. Rava says, he says, no, you only just give him whatever he's lacking in work every single day until he becomes healed. That's it. So Itmar, so therefore that's what we said, that according to Rabbi it was a question, according to Abaye it was pashut one way, and according to Rava it was pashut the other way. Okay? Itmar, it was stated, Hakotea yad eved ivri shel chaverov. The person comes and cuts off the hand of the eved ivri of his friends. Abaye says, noten lo shevet gdola. Right, le'eved, the shevet ktana le'rav. So according to Abaye, you're going to give the shevet gdola, means the value of the hand to the eved himself, but shevet ktana to the rav, because the master is the one that's losing out on the work. So you have to give him the shevet ktana. Rava says, hakolinat, everything goes to the servant. V'ilakach ben karka, and then they have to purchase a field for the servant. Now, during those years, the master eats the fruits of the field, but you have to buy a field for the servant. So says the Gemara, pshita pichet etzel atzmo. He says it's going to be obvious that if the person was mazik to the eved, to the gufa eved, but not to the master, right? But hechidami, what's the case? The paskel leresh une or leresh nechire, the what, that he cut off, for example, the top part of his nose or the part of the ear. Hakol leatzmo pichet. So everything goes to him. It's a rabo, right? For example, that it's going to be the hand, so therefore he can't start working. So that's a machloket Abaye v'Rava. Okay? And therefore, obviously, in that case, right, there's not going to be a machloket between them. Okay? Between Abaye v'Rava, the machloket is going to be between them only in a case where it's actually going to be to the master as well. For example, the hand. It's going to be the ear, the tip of the ear, or the tip of the nose. Nothing to do with it. Fine. Now we're talking about the two dots, boshet, embarrassment. Everything goes according to the one that's embarrassing and the one that got embarrassed. Mani matnitin, who's our Mishnah? Lo Rabbi Meir, lo Rabbi Yehuda, lo Rabbi Shimon. He says it's not Rabbi Meir, it's not Rabbi Yehuda, it's not Rabbi Shimon. The Tanam, as we learned in here it's a Braita, it should be the Tanya. Ve'kulan ro'in otan kilu bnei chorin shadum nichsehem. Right, we're going to look at all these people, ki'ilu, that they went out of their properties. Shem bnei Avraham of Yaakov, that they're Jews, which means that we're going to come and say, how much would he, meaning if a person became poor, how much is he willing to accept this embarrassment? How much would he pay for it? Those are the words that Rabbi mean. Rabbi Yehuda says, "Hagadol lefi gadlo, v'katan lefi gadlo." He says, no, it all depends. The gadol according to his greatness, and the katan according to his, according to the guy, what the guy is. Shimon says, no, ashiri. The rich people, the Ashirim, we're going to look at them as three people, that they went down from their properties. And the Aniyim, like the ones which are smaller. So says the Gemara, money. Yeah, who are we going like exactly? If we're talking about not like Rabbi Meir, matnitin ktani, right? So the Mishnah taught, Kol afiyam vayesh v'mitbayesh. Rabbi Meir kulhu badadadinim. All of them are like the same thing. All of them are equal. Rabbi Yehuda, if you're going to tell me it's like Shitat Rabbi Yehuda, matnitin ktani, hamvayeshet asuma. If you're going to be vayeshet asuma, chayav. V'ilu Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yehuda says suma elo boshet. He doesn't have boshet. Elalav, what are we talking about? Rabbi Shimon here. It is Rabbi Shimon. So says the Gemara, no. Afilu tema Rabbi Yehuda. Even if you're going to tell me it's Rabbi Yehuda, ki amar Rabbi Yehuda. When does Rabbi Yehuda say this? Suma elo boshet. Lemishkal mineh. A blind person doesn't have boshet to take it away from him when he's the mevayesh, because he's blind. But to give him the boshet, yeah, yavinale, we do give it to him. So says the Gemara, let's see the Seifa. If you're going to embarrass somebody that's sleeping, you're still going to be chayav. But if the one that's sleeping is the one that's embarrassing, he's going to be patur. But we didn't learn anything about the suma shabiyesh is going to be patur miklal. It doesn't make sense, meaning that Suma is always going to be Chayav. It was only if a person is sleeping that he's going to be Patur. So I answer the Gemara, you're right. Obviously, our Mishnah is better to say that it's going to be Shitat, Rabbi Shimon. Fine. Says the Gemara, Man Tana Lahad the Tana Rabbanan. Who's the Tana that taught this Braita? Nitkaven levayesh et hakatan uvayesh et hagadol. If a person has kavanah to be vayesh et hakatan, and he was vayesh et hagadol, he made a mistake. He thought he was just embarrassing some simple guy, and then at the end he was embarrassing somebody that's much greater. Noten lagadol the memboshto shel katan. He has to give to the gadol the money, the value of boshet of a katan. But if it was levayesh levayesh ben chorin, noten ben chorin the memboshto shel eved. Same thing. He wanted to embarrass an eved, and at the end it was ben chorin. So he has to give the ben chorin the value of the embarrassment of an eved. Money, who is this? Lo Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Yehuda, it's nobody. It's not like Rabbi Meir, not like Rabbi Yehuda, not like Rabbi Shimon. So says the Gemara, Kasal Kadaita, I would have thought to say Katan, Katan Menechasim, Vegadol, Gadol Menechasim. I would have thought to say when it says Katan, it means somebody that does not have a lot of properties, and Gadol means he has a lot of properties. So if it's going to be Rabbi Meir, according to Rabbi Meir, everyone's equal. Because according to Shtat Rabbi Meir, we look at everyone that they lost their properties. Right? Amar Kulu Behad Adadim. So he comes and he says that they all went down. Ve'i Rabbi Yehuda. Now, if you're going to tell me Shitat Rabbi Yehuda, Hamar, he said, En lavadim boshet. There's no boshet at all for avadim. Yeah? Ve'i Rabbi Shimon. Now, if you're going to tell me Shitat Rabbi Shimon, Hamar, he said, Nitkaven levayesh ze ubiyesh et ze. If he had kavanah to be mevayesh somebody and he embarrassed somebody else, he's going to be patur. My tama, what's the reasoning? He says, Kiktala, it's like killing. Maktala de mitkaven, just like if a person kills, it has to be until he has kavanah. תכתיב וערב לו וקם עליו, עד שהתכוון לו, that he has כוונה for him, או שאינם מכוון לו. תכתיב, זה זה בפסוק, ושלך ידיו, החזיקה בבושה, עד שהתכוון לו, until he has כוונה. Yeah? Well, says the Gemara, if a person had כוונה to be מבייש, one person is מבייש another person, right? It's like killing. Just like killing, you have to have כוונה. בו שנמי, he has to have כוונה. תכתיב, ושלך ידיו, החזיקה בבושה, עד שהתכוון לו, you have to have כוונה. So answers the Gemara, Le'olam Rabbi Yehuda, really we're talking about Shitat Rabbi Yehuda. V'kama Rabbi Yehuda is saying, En la'avadim boshet. There's no boshet to avadim. Lemit ve'lehu, to give to them, to do with liftor otam. Aval le'meisham shabinu, to do with, right, to la'arich otam, to come and to evaluate, they do. V'bay tema, if you want, you can answer, afilu tema Rabbi Meir, if you're going to tell me Rabbi Meir, or you're going to tell me, Gadol b'nechasim, Gadol means Gadol b'nechasim, v'katam Gadol b'nechasim. No, it means Gadol is Gadol mamash. That means we're talking about somebody that's a Gadol, above the age of bar mitzvah. And Katan is Katan Mama, somebody that's a minor. Okay? The Katan, so says the Gemara, a Katan is barboshet, he could have embarrassment. And so the Gemara, in yes. Kedaman of Papa, just like Papa said, the Michlimu lei umikalam. The Katan, right, is a mevugar, he's got the same, right, as Dayosh, when they're going to come, they're going to embarrass him. So to here, right, Pevava mubet, the Michlimu lei umikalam, and he's going to be embarrassed. So we're by the Mishnah on Pevava mubet. Kakadosh, so Mishnah on Peivav Mubet 86b says the Mishnah, Hamvayesh et Hayarom. If somebody's going to come and he's going to embarrass somebody that's without clothing, or Hamvayesh et Suma, or Hamvayesh et Yashen, somebody that's going to embarrass somebody that's sleeping, he's going to be Chayav. The Yashen Shebiyesh is going to be Patur. Yeah, so somebody that's sleeping and he's going to be Vayesh, somebody else is going to be Patur. Nafal minagag veizik ubiyesh. If he fell from the gag, and now he embarrassed somebody when he fell down, he's going to be chayav al nezek patur al boshet. So he's going to be chayav on the nezek, and he's going to be patur al boshet. So he's going to be patur on the embarrassment. Okay, so he's going to be chayav on the nezek. Okay, this is somebody that fell from the gag. Okay, and therefore he embarrassed somebody benefilato. So says the Gemara. Okay, says the Gemara. Tanu Rabbanan, we learned to the Braita. B'yeshu arom. If they embarrass him and he's arom, he's going to be chayav. Now, there's no difference between, right? There's no difference. There's no, you cannot compare, right? Embarrassing somebody if he's going to be arom, if he's going to be lavush, and therefore, obviously, it's going to be less money. He's going to be chayav. So basically, it all depends on where you're embarrassing the person, how much you're going to be obligated to pay. Amar more says, B'yesho arom, you're going to be chayav. Right? Arom barboshetu. He says, I don't understand. The guy's already without clothing. You're going to tell me he's got embarrassment? What embarrassment? Look how the guy's going around. Samar Papa says, my arom, what does it mean arom? Right? The atazika karchinu lemaneh. That it came a ruach And what happened is that it took the chaluk and it picked it up, so it made him arom. Meaning that wasn't like Sami was going around with the clothing. He basically was like this. So the guy came and he picked it up even more. So he embarrassed him even more. So says the Gemara, fine. What is the case that if he's going to embarrass him in the Bet Merchatz, he's going to be chayav? The Bet Merchatz marboshetu. If he's in the Bet Merchatz, he's going to be embarrassed. What? Papa Gavanar. He embarrassed him by the Nahar. So by Rabbi Abba by the river. Okay, so by Rabbi Abba bar Mamal comes Rabbi Abba bar Mamal and he comes and he asks the following question: B'yeshol yashen umet. If he's going to be mivayesh, right, an adam yashen, and then the guy died in his sleep, meaning the guy never found out that he was embarrassed. Mal what's halacha? So says the Gemara, what's the question? Amar Razvid says, Hachi Kambale. This was the question. Mishum kisufahu. It's because of the embarrassment. He says, but he's dead. By the dead, deceased is no embarrassment. Or Dilmar, maybe Mishum ziluta, which is zilzul. And at the end of the day, he was mizalzelbo. Meaning, do you say it's because of the embarrassment, and at the end of the day, he wasn't embarrassed because he died? Or do you say that it's because of zilzul, and he was mizulzel, he was mizilzulubo? So Tashima, we're going to try to bring a proof. Rabbi Mi says, Cheresh v'katan yesh lehem boshek. Cheresh v'katan do have an embarrassment. Yeah, you're listening. Cheresh and katan, they have an embarrassment. The shoteh does not have boshet. So Iyamar Bishma, I understand if it's going to be because of ziluta, hainu diktani katan, that's why we learned the concept of katan. But if you're going to tell me because of kisufa, right, that means if it's zilzul, so that's why there's zilzul also by a katan. But if you're going to tell me mixum kisufa, a child doesn't understand what's going. There's no busha. A child gets embarrassed, doesn't it? He doesn't realize. Elamai, but rather you have to say it's mishum ziluta. So the fishu shoterami, so then even my shotet the child. Why is it that if you embarrass a shoteh, you should be patur? There is ziluta. So Amri, they said, shoteh lecha boshet gedula mizo. He says the shoteh is the most mezulzal in the world. So for can you be mezalzel more? So says the Gemara, mikol makom nefshal mina, but we could still bring a proof, pevav mubet. Right? We could still bring a proof, mishum zilutahu, ti mishum kisufa, katam bar kisufa. He says it's ziluta, but it's kisufa. A child doesn't get embarrassed, right? But that's what we're trying to ask. Does he get embarrassed or not? So says the Gemara, yes. Why? Kedamar of Papa, just like Rav Papa says, the michlamu leyu mikalam, when you're going to be embarrassing him, homit bayesh, right? And therefore, when he's gadol tzat, he understands the bullshit. Achenami, so to hear the michlamu leyu mikalem, which means when he's going to be gadol tzat or bardat, he understands. So Rav Papa comes and he says, this was a question. Mishum kisufa didehu b'maitle. Do you say that the kisufa, that the embarrassment is because of him, and at the end of the day he died in his sleep? Or dilmar, maybe mishum boshet mishpacha. It's the embarrassment of the family. So Tashema, we're going to try to bring a proof. Cheresh v'katan yesh lo boshet. Cheresh v'katan have boshet. Shoteh en lo boshet, but shoteh does not have boshet. So Iyamar b'shama, it's good if you're going to tell me now mishum boshet mishpacha. It's the embarrassment of the family. That's why we said katan. But if you're going to tell me it's his own embarrassment, katan has boshet. So says the Gemara, elamai, but rather mishum boshet ugnem mishpacha. It's the embarrassment of the family. Meaning the family are going to be embarrassed. So afilu shoteh nami. So the same halacha would apply to even a shoteh. So he says the Gemara, but shoteh lecha boshet gadol min zeh. He says, what? There's no bigger boshet than this. So he says, mikom makom, nevertheless, nifsho mined mishum boshet mishpacha. It has to be because of boshet mishpacha. Diim mishum kisufa, but if it's going to be because of embarrassment, katan bar kisufa, can a katan get embarrassed? So Rav Papa says, yes. In the michlemu leu mikalem, he says, if he's going to be gadol ktsat and bardat, when they embarrass him, he does get. Meaning that a child, if Mamashi is very, very small, it could be he doesn't understand. But Be'emet, if he's already a little bit older, the child does understand. So says the Gemara, V'atanya, we learned in the Braita, Rabbi Omer, Cheresh yesh lo boshet, shoteh, en lo boshet. Katan, pe'amim yesh lo, pe'amim lo. You see from here, that sometimes a katan does get embarrassment, and sometimes he doesn't. Right? Pe'vav amubet, again, 86b, towards the bottom. So says the Gemara, Hadi michlamu leyu mikalam. He says here we're actually coming and we're embarrassing them. He says here it all depends whether Be'emet he's already old enough that he's going to be embarrassed or not going to be embarrassed. Okay, 2 dots. Okay, the first word's on the line. Hamvayeshet asuma. So we're 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 lines up. So 11 lines up, it comes and it says as follows. He says like this. Yeah, Hamvayeshet asuma. Something that's going to be Vayeshet asuma or the Yashen. Matnitin is not like Rabbi Yehuda. The time was learned to the Braita, Rabbi Yehuda says, Suma en lo boshet. Suma does not have boshet. The kachaya Rabbi Yehuda on poter, and that's why Rabbi Yehuda used to be poter, mechayve galuyot, mechayve malkuyot, mechayve mitot betin. So he used to exempt, right, whether it's going to be from galut, malkut, or betin. So it comes out that our Mishnah that says that a suma is going to be chayav, right? We're talking about over here, Bidmei Boshet is talking about obviously Shitat Rabbi Yehuda. So says the Gemara, "My time Rabbi Yehuda, what's the reasoning of Rabbi Yehuda?" So he says, "Gamar, right? Enecha medim zomim." We're learning Atzira Shava enecha from edim zomim. Just like over there by edim zomim it says sumin no. There's no edim zomim by a suma. A person that's blind, there's no edim zomim by him. Afacha, why? Because he can't testify. He's blind. So to here sumin no. There's not going to be a halacha here about a suma. So says the Gemara, "Chayve galuyot." What does it mean? A suma does not go to galut. Tzayin was learned in the pasuk Belo reot. He did not see, meaning he did not see it. But it doesn't matter. But he cannot see. So since he cannot see, even if he killed accidentally, he doesn't go to exile. Oh. Yeah, because it says Belo reot. Belo reot. He did not see. This comes to exclude a suma, a blind person. These are the words of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Meir says no. Al rabot at a suma. A suma does go to exile. My ta'ama Rabbi Yehuda. What's the reasoning of Rabbi Yehuda? Amalekha, because he says in the pasuk V'asher yavo etreu b'yoel lachtov etzim. If he's going to go with you to the forest to be chotev etzim, vafilu suma, even it's going to be a suma. So k'tav rachmana belo reot, and that's why the Torah says belo reot lemiute, right, coming to exclude, right, that we just said that the suma. Rabbi Meir, and according to Rabbi Meir, k'tav rachmana belo reot, it's coming to teach you belo reot lemiute, right, it's coming to exclude bivlidat. It's coming. That means each one is coming to exclude. Belo reot is coming to exclude the blind person, just like Rabbi Yehuda. The Torah says bivli dat. That comes to the miute, right? Also another mute. Havi mute achar mute. Remember, when you have two exclusions, it's like a double negative, right? So mute achar mute, minus plus a minus, right, becomes lerabot, a plus. Minus and minus is a plus. Minus 1, minus 2 is a plus. So he comes and he says ve'em mute achar mute lerabot. Okay? Rabbi Yehuda, according to Shitat Rabbi Yehuda, hahu bivli dat. This bivli dat is prat lemitkaven hu data. It's coming to exclude somebody that has the kavanah. Okay? So the Gemara says, Michayve bito betin, right? When we're talking about chayve bito betin, how do you know that a suma does not get killed by betin? We just learned that a suma, according to Shtat Rabbi Yehuda, does not go to galut. According to Rabbi Meir, he does go to galut. But how do you know that a suma, a blind person, does not get killed by bedin? So says the Gemara, they learn it from Gzera Shava, rotzeach, michayve galuyot. What does that mean? And chayve malkuyot, right? So that's what that means. From galut, since galut, we just said that a blind person does not go to galut, so therefore he's obviously not going to also get killed, right? From that's a mitat beti. To do with chayve malkiyot, they also learn it from rasha mechayve mito beti. What does that mean? They also learn it from malkut, rasha from chayve mito beti, right? And that's how we're going to finish off. Bezat Hashem.